Hi everyone, it's Felicia with Inspire Counseling Services, and welcome to week 1 of our new series, You're Enough, Rebuilding After the Storm. This week's topic is when life doesn't look like you planned. And can I be honest with you? I think if most of us looked at our lives, there would be at least one area where we would say, this isn't how I thought things would turn out. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's your career. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's a dream you've had for yourself. Maybe it's a loss you never expected to experience. Life has a way of taking us places we never planned to go. And if we're honest, that's hard because we like plans. We like certainty. We like knowing how the story is supposed to end. But life doesn't always cooperate with our plans. Sometimes doors close. Sometimes people leave. Sometimes prayers aren't answered the way we expected. Sometimes life changes in ways we never saw coming. And sometimes we are left standing in the middle of it all, trying to figure out what comes next. One thing I've learned is that some of the deepest grief we experience isn't always because of what happened. Sometimes it's because of what we thought would happen. We grieve the future we imagined. We grieve the plans we made. We grieve the expectations we carried. We grieve the life we thought we would have. And that kind of grief often goes unnoticed because nobody sees it. They only see us continuing moving forward. What they don't always see is the disappointment we are carrying behind the scenes. There's a scripture, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. I've actually always loved this scripture, but over the years, I've come to appreciate it differently. When I was younger, I focused on the words hope and future. Now, after experienced loss, disappointment, grief, heartbreak, and unexpected life changes, I find myself focusing on the words, I know the plans I have for you. Because there have been seasons in my life where I had absolutely no idea what God was doing. Seasons when I couldn't see the plan. Seasons when things just didn't make sense. Seasons when life looked nothing like what I thought it would. And maybe you've had seasons like that too. What encouraged me most about the scripture is that even when I don't understand the plan, guess what? God does. Even when I can't see what's ahead, He can. Even when life feels uncertain to me, it isn't uncertain to Him. And that doesn't mean the disappointment isn't real. It doesn't mean the grief doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean we don't have questions. It simply means that our uncertainty does not cancel God's purpose. That's something I've had to remind myself of more than once. And maybe that's something you need to remind yourself of today. As a counselor, one of the things I often tell people is that healing begins when we stop fighting reality. Not because we like what happened, not because it doesn't hurt, but because we cannot heal from something we are unwilling to acknowledge. Acceptance is not giving up. Acceptance is not agreeing with what happened. Acceptance is not pretending you're okay. Acceptance is simply acknowledging where you are while trusting God to help you move forward. And sometimes that's the first step in rebuilding. Sometimes rebuilding begins with accepting that life has changed while believing that God is still able to bring purpose from what remains. Life may not look the way you plan, but God is still writing your story. This is a takeaway. A change plan does not mean a ruined purpose. Just because a chapter ended doesn't mean your story is over. What feels like an ending may actually be the beginning of something God is building within you. I have a few affirmations for you today. I want you just to sit with this. I want you to take a deep breath. And here's affirmation 1. I may not understand everything that has happened in my life, but I trust that God is still working. I may not understand everything that has happened in my life, but I trust that God is still working. Affirmation 2. My circumstances have changed, but God's promises remain the same. My circumstances has changed, but God's promises remain the same. I will not allow disappointment to steal my hope or fear to determine my future. I will not allow disappointment to steal my hope or fear to determine my future. And the last one, I am rebuilding with faith, courage, and confidence, knowing that God is not finished with my story. I am rebuilding with faith, courage, and confidence, knowing that God is not finished with my story. Of course, I have some journaling prompts. Journal question 1. What part of my life looks different than I expected it would? Next, what have I been grieving that I haven't fully acknowledged? 3, am I struggling more with what happened or with accepting that it happened? Next question, how have I seen God's faithfulness in previous difficult situations? Question 5, what area of my life do I need to surrender to God today? And the last journal question, what does rebuilding look like for me in this season? As we close, I want you to remember this. Life may not look the way you plan. It may not feel the way you hope, and you may still be trying to make sense of some things. All of that is okay. Give yourself grace. Give yourself permission to acknowledge what you've lost. Give yourself permission to grieve what didn't happen. Give yourself permission to be honest about where you are. But don't convince yourself that because life changed, your purpose has changed too. God is still God. He is still faithful, and He is still writing your story. This week, I really challenge you to spend some time with the journal prompts. Be honest with yourself. Sit with your feelings. Talk to God about the things you've been carrying. And remember, a change plan does not mean a ruined purpose. You are not alone. You are never too far gone. You are enough. I'll see you next week for week 2, Grieving What Was. As we close, I want you to remember that this series is intended for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional counseling. If you are struggling with your mental health, are experiencing emotional distress, or need additional support, please seek assistance from a licensed mental health professional. If you're interested in counseling services, please contact Inspire Counseling Services, LLC at 843-781-4181.